So I would say welcome to the popcorn counter, but we're not there yet. I am James Rosica.
I'm Andres Lorente.
And so they've recently installed an elevator here at the Two Reel Cinema Club, and we've been stuck in it for 20 minutes
this
now.
Is my nightmare. This is what I have always feared, getting stuck in it. I'm happy that I'm stuck in an elevator with you. But
I was going to ask you which bit was the nightmare.
No.
Is it being stuck with me or just being in the elevator?
No. Just the elevator. Stuck in an elevator.
I have been pressing the buttons and they don't seem to do anything.
Yeah.
At least they haven't turned off the power yet. So yet.
If we had our equipment, we could have done like 2 years of podding. We'd be done for a long time. We'd be doing films.
If we had our equipment, we would have eaten it by now, I think. I was thinking what we could do is we should practice our elevator pitches at least. It's the dream of every screenwriter. I don't know about you. I always carry like a little pitch in my back pocket just in case I'm stuck in an elevator with Steven Spielberg.
I keep mine in a spoon.
In a spoon.
Yep.
So it's like a folding spoon, or it's a wooden spoon.
It's just more like a spork, but it has an engravings of my pitches right in there. So I can just read the spork and.
Why didn't I think of that? Yeah. I've been resorting to paper all these years. So we have recently seen The Fall Guy.
Yeah.
And it does look like there may be a bit of a trend for 80s properties coming back. That is what I must say. Last week we talked about it, I was going to ask you, who is The Fall Guy movie for? Because the only people who will remember that movie or that TV series will be people of your age and my age and older. Who are probably not the prime audience for a Ryan Gosling film, but or maybe we are. I don't know.
But they're mostly demented or in like elder care homes, and they're not going to the theater. Right?
I reckon there will be a market for 70s and 80s based revivals. So I have come equipped with 3 pitches for 70s and 80s based revivals.
Did you make this elevator stop on purpose so you could? Who has their pitches ready to go for an elevator, and the elevator just happens to stop?
No comment. Though I am well aware that I'm able to monopolize your attention for 2 hours on a Monday evening, no matter what. So being stuck in the elevator is just a bonus. We should toss a coin.
Do you have one?
To see who goes first, but I haven't got a coin, and there's no way we can leave the room to get a coin. So instead, I'm gonna suggest that you go first.
Oh, All right. Well. All right. My first one would be a 70s television show.
Right. I like it already.
I have a gay friend here.
In the elevator.
No.
He's been quiet.
I think we're alone here. I should look around a bit more carefully. I have a nameless gay friend who he was invited to go on something called a bear cruise.
Right.
So this is a proper cruise. You're on a ship, but you are surrounded by a lot of gay men, mostly who are bearded, maybe a little bit chubby. And hirsute, I guess, would be the expression.
And does this also describe your friend?
It does. He's a bear who likes bears. So basically, I'm not looking for just one film. I want IP. I want intellectual property. So you've guessed correctly. It's a Love Boat remake, but it's a
Love Boat.
It's a series of films. It would be a Love Boat saga. So, is that the Mad Max, or is that the Furiosa is going to be a Mad Max saga? Where did I see saga recently? Yeah, okay. So I want to have a saga franchise. The first one's going to be called Bear Cruise. And I figure you've got this just hopping ship of gay men. They're partying. They're having a great time. They're going down the slides and in the swimming pools and such like that. And then they end up in Alaska. And when they're in port in Alaska, somehow a grizzly bear gets onto the ship. And mayhem ensues, but the gay community has to come together they're not going to kill the bear, but they're going to somehow incorporate the bear into bear culture or in a humane way, take care of the bear, like a Care Bear, I guess. But that's just the first film. I'm imagining other films, like there's got to be a COVID cruise where COVID breaks out, but people are still falling in love, but spreading the disease. There's Elder Cruise. We just talked about the elders. They'd be watching, I don't know, Golden Girls episodes and old people films and Hallmark channels, but something exciting would happen. Then there would also be a cruise for the ladies, too. Maybe they go to the Isle of Lesbos in Greece, and then something happens there, too. And then maybe like a fan cruise. This is, I think, where we could make some real money, because it's just cruise after cruise of rock bands who go out on cruises and perform for their fans, and then just mayhem. But you could also turn it into sort of like like a concert film as well. So I just feel like this is intellectual property. I came up with it, and I know someone's going to have a Love Boat film here soon. But you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen, on the Two Real Cinema Club. It's called Love Cruise. And it's a series of films. It's not one film. It's a saga. It's a Love Boat saga.
There is high concept, and then there is super high concept. Yeah. How much higher a concept could you get? Okay, Bear Cruise.
Bear Cruise is the first film, yeah.
I'm getting my Sharpie out, and I'm writing it on the wall of the elevator here. Right, Bear Cruise. I think there will be a market for that. Okay, all right. I will see your Bear Cruise, and I will raise you a mystery show.
Ooh.
Based on a well-known 1970s property. It's it's a very serious, dark mystery show. About 4 college kids, right? So there's 2 boys and there's 2 girls. You know, they arrive at college. You know, it's difficult to make friends when you go to college. Everyone is new. You know, people are insecure and worried. And one of the kids has this therapy dog that goes with him everywhere. But then, you know, at this college, one of the kids, not one of our 4 kids, but another kid, goes missing, and the police shrug their shoulders. You know, there isn't much of an investigation. Mm-hmm. No one's really looking into it too hard, except for our central 4 kids, because they are good kids. They are curious. They cannot leave a mystery unexplored. So they start talking to people. They start asking questions. They're exploring the college at night. There seems to be possibly there are unnatural forces at play. So it takes a little bit of Buffy, it takes a little bit of Stranger Things, a little bit of Wednesday. It's that kind of vibe, but I want it to be very grounded. It's very realistic. It's dark. It touches on a lot of uncomfortable stuff. Maybe it might be called something like, you know, The College or The Shadow School, something like that. The kids get deeper and deeper into trouble. They discover layers of conspiracy and a long history of terrible dark deeds. The 4 kids are called Fred, Thelma, Daphne, and Shaggy. And the dog is called Scooby. My pitch is a remake of Scooby-Doo, but the difference is you do it live action and you take it completely seriously.
Ooh.
So there's no kind of gag.
Yeah.
There's no kind of, you know, running off for munchies and the Scooby snacks. Oh. You keep the characters, but you play it completely straight. And then it's like a joke on the audience, and you keep playing it until people start to realize, wait a second, this is a remake of Scooby-Doo.
Well, the names would certainly give it away. When was Scooby-Doo made? Is that like late 90s, the film? Or
yeah, I think probably late 90s, early 2000s even, maybe, yeah.
Because I grew up on the television series. That was
it was the television series as well. I remember watching it as a boy, and even at the age of 9, kind of figuring out, wait a second, this show is the same every week. It's always the caretaker wearing a mask.
It is. Now, but you would do it as a series then, not just as a film, or...
Well, it could. So I would pitch it as a series, because I think that's probably the easiest way to sell it. But you know, it could be a feature film. There's no reason why it couldn't be a feature film.
I like that. That's a nice take. Unexpected from you, I think. That's interesting.
What? That I would get a nice take on something you're right. That is unexpected. That never happens.
It seems so serious when the low-hanging fruit is just to remake it and make it new funny instead of serious. But I like that. And then just sort of the whole investigative thing and the detective work, which is what they did, but you couldn't take it seriously because they were driving this pink van around and they had a talking dog who ate biscuits or whatever. Huh. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
What are you calling that one? You said the college or
the college? I'm calling it the college.
Okay,
the college.
Okay, good. So they're
on the wall. It goes. Here we go.
Smart young college. Kids. Okay, put that down. So on television, I don't know if this film ever got a theatrical release, but late night television, this thing would come on when I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old. I think it was from 1976. It's a film called Logan's Run. Have you ever seen this?
Oh, yes. That's Jenny Agutter and Michael York.
Michael York, God. And he seemed to be in a lot of stuff back then, and then I don't think he had much of an enduring career, but I don't remember. I mean, he was in a number of films. So one of my earliest film classes, the professor said, you want to go back and remake the bad stuff. So I think this is...
Yeah, I think Logan's Run fits the bill, yeah.
I haven't seen this film in a long time, but I because I saw it, it was one of the first films that I really remember. And there's this image of the floating. When you're 30 years old, you have to be just terminated, I guess.
Yes, euthanized.
They only want young people, and there's this floating scene where they're all sort of in this floating tank, and then I don't think they just get jettisoned somewhere. It's pretty crazy. So you can't be older than 30 and still live in the planet where Logan's Run takes place. But Logan himself, played by Michael York, he wants to live. He escapes. And in my last film, I'm going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to try and remake a film that should not be remade because it's already good. But this film is not good. But right. I just feel like this is a great time to address reproductive freedom issues. So the way I imagine it is there's a government controlling agency that wants women to have a baby before they're 30 and then euthanize them. Not the babies, the women. So they want the...
Are you going to sell this at the Republican Party convention, do you think?
It's good, isn't it? Yeah, creepy. So they're allowed to give birth, but then the mothers would be eliminated. But I just feel like this is a time when the women are going to try and escape via some sort of underground movement. I feel like what they need to do is use some sort of drug that makes them appear dead. This happens in Romeo and Juliet and all those old classic Shakespeare things. Taking some kind of potion where maybe they appear dead before they give birth. I haven't decided if the government steals the babies and then the women escape, or if the women can escape with their babies. Because what happens next is these young mothers, maybe they don't have their babies, they end up like reviving, of course, and then hiding in the woods where this movement has, and this is a twist because the ladies aren't that nice, they have imprisoned men to breed with the women again. So they're using these male slaves, more or less, to inspire and produce the next generation. And then the original government force comes after them to free the men, quotation marks, but then the government just ends up eliminating men. So they actually kill the men who would help the women, and then they keep the women and then re-imprison them. And then I don't know, this is where I fall a little bit. I don't know if the women should be eliminated again, or should they should probably be forced to breed one more time before they try to eliminate them again. So I could just see it unraveling and re-raveling again and again and repeating itself. But that's what I want to do.
What happens in the end of the original Logan's Run?
I don't know. I don't remember. I was a kid. I fell asleep. I fell asleep by that point. I know that he gets he goes underground. He actually literally gets into the subway system, I think, and then disappears into some sort of subculture. And then I don't remember. I think he probably gets caught and killed. But so
I was hoping that he would make it to Alaska and then go on the bear cruise. Maybe
the bear cruise does sound fun, doesn't it? That's your way of saying Logan's Run, don't run at all. No legs.
I also have fond memories of Logan's Run.
You did. Good.
But I also can only really remember people floating, like youths floating around in the sky before being zapped by lasers or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And then sort of Jenny Agutter and Michael York go on the run. I cannot remember anything after that.
Nothing.
Which makes you think. Either the film was on so late that I used to fall asleep when it came on, or maybe the rest of the film is just not that memorable.
No,
they put all their attention on the first 20 minutes. Okay, Logan's Run. I'm writing it on the wall of the elevator here.
We'll call it Logan's Run. I thought maybe it could be a water-based film, water-based births, and Logan's Swim. Could it be Logan's Swim?
I'm crossing out Run. I'm putting Logan's Swim.
Or Logan's Flight. If the women are really good flyers, they just fly away somehow on that draft.
Logan's half-hearted jog. Okay, well, try this. Okay. So I'm going to pitch a detective show. I love a detective show.
Another one. Really?
Everyone loves detective shows.
Okay.
They might all be detective shows. So it's a bit like the Rockford Files.
Oh, I love that one.
And the only thing I remember at the Rockford Files is the theme music. A bit like Magnum P.I. About the only thing I remember about Magnum P.I. is the theme music. Or Columbo. So it's like another detective show, but it's got a twist. Okay, so this detective show, it's called Private Eyes. And in the show, we follow two guys. It's white soul musicians Daryl Hall and John Oates. so the show is set in 1981.
Sold. I'm buying right now.
Hall and Oates, they're on a promotional tour of the US with their new album, Private Eyes, right? But at each stop, at each venue, there's a mystery. Someone has gone missing, or some master tapes get stolen, or they found a dead body backstage.
Yeah.
And it turns out there's something that we don't know about Hall and Oates, which is that John Oates, before he was a musician, was a brilliant chemist. He gave up like a career in science to become a musician. And Daryl Hall was a Navy SEAL with a dark hidden past before he took up singing. So this is all made up, okay, but for the purposes of the show. So the two of them, they have like these skills and they have the curiosity to solve each week's mystery, while in between the episodes of the mystery, they are singing some banging 80s soul hits. I had a look through their discography, and the episode titles just fall straight out off the page at you. There's I Can't Go For That, Man Eater.
Oh my God, that's going to be a good one.
Adult Education. Say It Isn't So.
Yep.
Some Things Are Better Left Unsaid. I mean, it's just an endless list. And then I would get appearances from other early 80s pop stars. So Madonna would appear.
Yeah.
Or like Cyndi Lauper. Belinda Carlisle would be like a repeating character.
Elvis Costello worked with John Hall. Or Daryl Hall. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you get some good people in there.
Pat Benatar.
Please.
It's the music, the style, the hair, the clothes, the cars. I think it's just perfect.
Private Eyes. Oh man, that is a winner. One problem.
Oh yes,
those two guys hate each other. They've been suing each other. You couldn't get the actual guys, but everyone gets a cameo anyway. You could do their cameos in separate episodes.
Yeah, they have to shoot separate cameos, and we could green screen them together afterwards.
Yeah.
So yes, it would have to be actors playing the younger Daryl Hall and John Oates. But again, you'll notice there is a theme in all of my pitches here, where it's a ludicrous, stupid, idiotic idea, and I would play it completely straight.
It's awesome. I love it, and you've got at least the one musical number every episode.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be Song of the Week. It'll be like Kids from Fame, but with more investigating murders.
Huh?
Kids from Fame go to the Rockford Files.
I like that.
I'm just going to call it Hall and Oates. Hall and Oates.
Yeah, Hall and Oates. That's great.
That's the name of it.
Okay, that's going to be hard to beat.
I'm writing it on the wall. Here it is, Hall and Oates.
Very hard to beat. Okay. I don't know how to frame this one exactly, because this is.
You have a lot of stuff on your spork there.
I know. This one is a film that shouldn't be remade, which is 3 Days of the Condor, which I think is just a great film, but perhaps more relevant today than it was in the 1970s when it was made.
Yeah.
So I was at one point I thought of calling it either. I was going to combine it with Falcon and the Snowman and call it 3 Days of the Falcon and the Snowman. But I think I'm going to call it 3 Days of the Phoenix.
3 Days of the Phoenix.
Yeah,
I like it.
Very firework. I just feel like this is just prime for a remake, in part because of just the influence of the oil industry and big oil in our lives. But also just because that film depends so much on, an analog lifestyle. I think it would be very interesting if the Robert Redford character, Condor, in this case, Phoenix, had to really work a little harder to stay secret. Like if he's not, he can't be on social media. There are cameras everywhere now. I just feel like this reader / sort of journalist researcher trying to stay away from the bad guys would be so much harder now. I think it would be probably more of an action type thing. But the reason I like the Phoenix is because I just imagine him burning all sorts of shit with oil. Like, so he gets back at guys by dousing them in oil and then setting them afire, or their buildings or their properties or something like that. So, but they still can't find him because he's like a ghost when it comes to social media and the internet.
They can't find him because there's so much blooming smoke everywhere.
True that. Yeah, so he could use smoke to his advantage. So it's verging on not superhero, but like one of those innocent man on the run, fugitive style. But he really is so clever that he can use his resources and his knowledge to basically escape social media, escape CCTV footage, everything, and exact revenge on the bad guys.
So it's not set in the 70s, it's set today.
I think it should be set today, yeah, because I think there is a really relevant message there. And I like the fire and stuff just because you need to have stuntmen and you need to have lots of action now. But the other thing is it sort of needs a little update on the Faye Dunaway character is so poorly treated, and it's just that, she's just the love interest. She doesn't have a whole lot of depth or a lot to do. She does start helping him a little bit, which is interesting, but I think when we saw that film, we thought, oh, this is a little dated in terms of the role of the lead lady actor and just sort of some of the mores of the time. So I think it needs an update. I think it's otherwise a pretty good film. We did talk about that really plaid love scene that just didn't work either. So I mean, this would have either maybe no love interest whatsoever, or maybe a love interest who comes on board and really helps out in a serious way. Maybe that's where the darkness comes from. Like he or she, the love interest, would say, "Ooh, you like oil. You like to burn things. You're the Phoenix." Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
I think, what do you think about a gender swap? Maybe it should be the Phoenix is a woman this
Phoenix
time.
is a woman, yeah.
Faye Dunaway gets to be the prime mover.
Yeah, probably a younger actor. I hate to be ageist, but maybe someone younger. But there you go. It would be, let's call it 3 days of the Femalix.
Yep. Get Kristen Stewart on the phone.
Perfect.
Yep.
Great casting.
Yep, she's born to play this.
AKA, in parentheses, Phoenix. It's kind of an unwieldy title, but I like it.
Right, I'm writing on the wall 3 days of the
Femalix, open parentheses, Phoenix, close parentheses.
Femalix. Right. Or it's going to be hard to beat. Okay. I do like Kristen Stewart. Okay. I'm going to come back with a genuine, real, actual remake then. Okay.
Okay.
Again, like yours, a remake of something that was kind of good.
Yeah.
In its time.
Big mistake.
I think a remake which is very timely. Mm-hmm. This is a classic British TV show that doesn't get discussed much these days, I think, due for a comeback.
Okay.
It's called Blake's 7.
Huh.
Have you ever heard or seen this?
No.
Okay. So this was a BBC science fiction series.
Okay.
It ran from 1978 to 1981. And, like all BBC science fiction, it was pretty cheaply made. It was kind of like the UK's answer to Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica, something like that.
Okay.
So I think that was the space they were going for, no pun intended. But it was much cheaper and less lavish than those shows, and it was much more political than those shows were. So it follows this central character, Blake. He's called Rog Blake, I think. So he's like a political dissident. And at the beginning of the first episode, he is kind of set up and then arrested and imprisoned by this corrupt Earth government. So they find him guilty of a whole bunch of crimes that are nothing to do with his political dissidence. They just make up some crimes which he didn't commit. He is found guilty. He's sentenced to life in a penal colony. But on the way there, the prison transport spaceship comes across a derelict alien spaceship. And the people who are running this kind of this prison ship, well, they try to board it. They kind of think we'll have this for salvage, or we'll take control of it. And the ship, although it's derelict, it keeps killing all the humans who try to board it. Ooh. So the people on the prison ship, well, they think, we'll send some prisoners over. They're expendable, and we'll keep sending prisoners until one of them figures out how to override the security. So Blake and two of his buddies get sent over, and they get control of the ship, and then they just fly it away. And so now he's gone from being a prisoner to being a political dissident with a crew and he's in control of the fastest ship in the galaxy.
Ooh.
Let the adventures begin.
Ooh.
But the show, it doesn't do the Star Trek thing of discovering new worlds and exploring and meeting aliens. It's all about basically insurgency. So it's a show where the heroes are terrorists.
Ooh.
There are a whole bunch of kind of morally ambiguous characters. They have there's like a Blake, who's he's kind of very political, but he's joined by this guy Avon, who's like completely untrustworthy but very charismatic. And there's a guy who's a thief. There's a guy who's some muscle. There's a woman who's some pilot. A pilot. There's they pick up this woman who's like a telepath who can read people's minds. So they've got this kind of like a full crew of rebels. And then I think towards the end of the first season or halfway through the first season, they steal this computer called Aurak, which is like 1981's version of ChatGPT, basically. Ooh. It was this kind of super powerful computer which could siphon off information from all the other computers in the galaxy. I think Blake 7 feels more timely now than it did in the late 70s, early 80s. This whole kind of notion of kind of government corruption and kind of rebellions and different factions fighting each other and harnessing new technology to maybe liberate people, maybe bring about the end of everything. I mean, it just feels really now. I think it's due a remake. I think someone should pick that up and make it.
I think the Insurgents twist is nice.
Yeah.
It'd make it very relevant for today. And also, just this moral ambiguity that the viewer has to absorb.
And these days, you could make it without the wobbly sets and everything made out of polystyrene and sticky black plastic.
CGI. And you can, you're right, you can spin that into a long-running series. I see that having legs or wings. Oh, that has wings, it's so good.
It has thrusters, yes.
Ooh, well, I guess...
I'm writing it on the wall here. Here it is. Okay, so we have got 6 pitches. Okay, I will pick my favourite of yours, but I will force you to pick your favourite of mine.
No problem. No problem.
As long as we do not asphyxiate in this elevator before we have a chance. Right. Okay. So your short list: Love Boat: Bear Cruise. That's what I've written on the wall here. Pretty good. Logan's Swim. Yeah, I've written. Which is also good. 3 Days of the Femalix / Phoenix.
Well, actually,
out of all of them,
open parentheses. Phoenix.
I will. Here I will draw the parentheses in now. Actually, that's better. Out of all of those 3, Logan's Swim appeals to me the most, but I'm gonna commission the one that I think has the most commercial potential, which must be Love Boat: Bear Cruise.
I love Boat Saga.
You could make that now, and that would sell all around the world.
And it's got plenty of spin-offs, prequels, sequels, origin stories when they build the boat. Oh my God. All sorts of stuff. Yeah. So it's funny because I actually used a little bit of ChatGPT for that. I was inspired by something you created last year about this time called Helicopter Tiger, I think it was.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's a true story. I do have a friend who was going, he did not go on the Bear Cruise, but he was going to.
Disappointing.
But it's funny because ChatGPT, they ask you to sort of bullet out your points. And it's funny because it didn't change at all. It was the exact same story I'd put in, but it would just change the language a little bit. So maybe I am artificially intelligent. I don't know, but
maybe it just shows that you cannot be improved upon.
Oh, thank you, James. Thank you. I'll tell you what can't be improved upon. Private Eyes. Or did you change the name to Daryl and John?
Yeah, I've written Hall & Oates here, and you're right, Private Eyes. I don't know why I wrote Hall & Oates. Private Eyes is I'm going to cross that out.
I think that's just, you've got a built-in audience that's not yet dead, so I mean, I think the Hall & Oates fans are going to go for it, but I just think it sounds great. I love the fact that you can get a song in, you can base episodes on song titles, they can be on tour, they can be in the studio. I mean, that thing could run long beyond they're dead, I mean, they're not close to being alive for much longer. I guess they're closer to dead. So those guys must be in their 60s or 70s. I think you need to jump on it now, or
Well, or if we wait until they die, then we might not have to get their permission.
Precisely, and there's all and they won't be suing each other and all that. Yeah.
I think Daryl Hall is 77 now.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay, yeah. So maybe you hold on to that for a few more years, but I'd hate to see
another couple of years.
I'd hate to see someone else come up with it, or even lo and behold, they get desperate themselves for retirement and start doing that. They're probably listening to the pod right now and stealing the idea. So maybe you should do it now.
Right. I can't believe not only have we put our best ideas out in a podcast, but we've also written them as a list on the inside of this elevator.
That's a terrible idea. Oh man. Well.
Is that? But oh no, I thought the elevator was going to start moving. No. Oh, good. Right, they've turned out the lights.
Oh man.
Well,
what game are we going to play next?
If you're going to start asking me what games can we play together in the dark, I think the answer is Bear Cruise, isn't it? I think
it's just a rehearsal. We're just getting some feedback, running some scenes, man.